from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. We are currently in St. John's right now after an overnight stay in the Bona Vista, Elliston area. And along the route back, on the drive back to St. John's today, I actually saw a guy who was selling cloudberries, aka baked apple sours. They have a lot of different names. They also go by Nordic berries. They're really common in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and then of course the northern region of Canada. For the most part, these berries grow wild. They're oftentimes used in liquors and different wines. We'd actually had them in both wine as well as in liquor prior to buying these berries, and this is actually the first time we're going to be trying these berries fresh today. So they are jarred. It looks like the man who picked them, he actually picked them wild. He's told me that he picked them just in the last day. So we're gonna try these together today. If I can get this jar open. Oh, there we go. Oh, he really packed this. So as you can obviously see, this is a very nice, vibrant orange color, which means that they're really, really high in antioxidants. They're supposed to be very tart. Oftentimes when we've asked people what they taste like, they say that they're kind of like a raspberry, but a little bit more sour. Definitely smells tart. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of take maybe like a piece or two and see what they're like. Almost smells like it's been fermenting or something in this jar. I don't know if that was actually the intention. Ooh, they're definitely really tart. They have a texture kind of like a raspberry, kind of like a tiny little cloud, but the size of your fingernail. So definitely tart in the beginning, and then as you start chewing on it, it starts getting a little bit sweeter and sweeter, but it's definitely really delicious. I'm gonna have another one. Oh, these are super delicate. I can see why the man put it in a jar and not just like in a little basket. It's got a lot of seeds. These are really, really good. I got seeds stuck in my tongue. I totally forgot. We also picked up some other things along the way, driving from Elliston back into St. John's. There are these nice, glorious bottles that we've got here. I love the style of these bottles. We picked these up at the Newfoundland Distillery Co. We did a tasting of 7 different vodkas, rums, as well as gins. What we like to do during travel, on top of trying different food and drink while we're exploring new places and new areas, is we like to try different local gins, vodkas, so different distilleries and wineries that we like to visit. And this is one that Chris found while doing some quick research along the road. We not only were able to do a tasting, we also had a really delicious meat and cheese plate, all locally made. So we had these two, so the two that we're looking at here, which were our 2 favorites. So this is flavored vodka that has rhubarb flavor. And then this one is a Chaga rum. So as it says here, it's 5 years old, Demerara rum from Guyana. And it also has some honey in it, and it's got a like nice spice flavor. And this one, we've had both of them with different types of tonics. I think this one was, we had a tasting of this with the elderflower tonic by Fever Tree, which was the brand. And then this one, I think it was the ginger beer, also from Fever Tree. Both were really, really impressive. We were really blown away by this. So Chaga is pretty much like a type of bark that is used to flavor this rum. We actually had a big hunk of it that was on the bar table that our server showed us. It's definitely very like woody, slight undertone of like smokiness. When you actually smell the bark, because it was sitting out there for a while, it doesn't smell very strong. But when you're tasting it, you can definitely taste afternotes of something birchy, woody, barky as you're having the rum, even if it's like with a tonic. Definitely recommend that you guys check out the Newfoundland Distillery Co. if you're ever in the area. It's a nice place either just to do a quick tasting of local liquors or to, just have the local meat and cheeses if you want a little nibble. Another thing that we also picked up that I'm pretty obsessed with and really excited about is a sea salt. So sea salt doesn't sound really exciting. You're just like, okay, it's salt, like what's the big deal? There's a lot of different types of salt, and the way the salt is harvested is very, very different depending on the city, the country that you're in. Newfoundland is actually really, really famous for their salt. This specific sea salt is from the Newfoundland Salt Company. So if you are familiar with the culinary scene of Canada, Raymond's, which is one of the top rated restaurants in all of Canada, not just in Newfoundland, the original chef, his name's Peter Burt, I think. He actually founded this company. His main love was salt. He was a main chef at Raymond's and then finally left Raymond's to go back to running the salt company full time. So the thing that characterizes this salt is the fact that the grains are really, really large. So they're not just large, but they're also very, very flat. So I know it's a little bit hard to see when you're looking at this jar, but you can see that they're all very, very irregular, but the pieces, when you get a nice big chunk of it, it's very, very flat, and the flavor is definitely very, very distinctive. And then as I started looking up different restaurants to eat in the area, what I like to do is I like to see where different ingredients are sourced, and pretty much the majority of all of the nicer restaurants that we visited during this trip, whether it was Mallard Cottage, Raymond's, the Boreal Diner in Elliston, all of them actually use Newfoundland Salt Company as their salt provider. So it's really amazing to be able to see local businesses partner up with other local businesses so that the local environment thrives, and they're all supportive of each other. So I'm really happy to support this local business and to be able to bring this salt back home with me as a finishing salt for different types of sweet and savory dishes that I end up making at home. It'll also be a good souvenir because edible souvenirs are always the best, and it's always like a nice reminder of a previous trip that we've taken. So I'm gonna go back to eating my cloudberries. I feel like that last one was a bit more sour than the first one. These definitely seem more seedy than raspberries too. So for this jar, which is about a pint, we paid 15 Canadian dollars for this, and I know that sounds like a lot, but just keep in mind that even though it is kind of pricey, they're very, they're not easy to find. They have to be picked wild. They're not easy to domesticate. You can't just, find some random person at a farm selling these, and they're not common to find even at supermarkets. You definitely have to find it from someone who is actually foraging them. And it's always a nice thing when you're traveling to be able to try things that are local to the area that you can't find in your own city. There's no way in heck that we'd be able to find something like this in New York or in San Francisco. So it's always a nice treat to be able to try local foods and discover new things that, either didn't know existed or, might tickle your fancy if you might try it in a new place. It's always great to discover new things. Really happy that we got this, and hope that if you come to Newfoundland and Labrador that you'll be able to find some guy on the roadside while you're driving. You'll look out and be able to try this on your own. So thanks so much for watching.